Have you ever just felt like you're stuck running on a treadmill you never even chose to get on? Well, today we're diving into Anubhav Srivastava's incredibly sharp and, frankly, hilarious take on the whole hustle culture. You know, the one that promises you the world, but mostly just gives you a whole lot of burnout. So let's get right into it. So right out of the gate, the source material just pulls no punches. This isn't going to be another one of those rah-rah speeches about grinding 24/7. No, this is all about questioning that entire cult of hard work. And believe me, it does it with a serious sense of humor. Okay, so here's the fundamental problem, right? Society basically hands us this script. It fills us up with all this ambition, this massive drive to succeed, but then it gives us absolutely no reliable way to actually get there. It's a setup where, as the author points out, pretty much everyone, winners and losers, often ends up feeling miserable. Now, this is a wild analogy. You have to ask yourself, are our beliefs really our own? Or are we a lot like the zombie ant, being driven by some kind of parasite, call it the system, to climb up a blade of grass just so we can get eaten? The ant gets nothing out of the deal, but the parasite gets to live on. It's a pretty stark metaphor for who really benefits from our constant hustle. So, to really get how the system works, you've got to meet its high priests, and the author gives them some, let's just say, very fitting nicknames. These are the guys, the titans of the hustle cult, who promise you everything if you'll just grind a little bit harder. And would you look at that, here they are, our two main archetypes of absolute BS. On one side, we have the legendary Sir Hapoleon Nil, author of the profound literary classic, Don't Think, Just Grow Thick. And on the other, we've got the ever-persistent lightbulb Tommy, the pioneer of the fail for 10,000 years method. Sound a little familiar? Yeah, these are the poster boys for a world that seems to care more about the performance of work than, actually getting anything done. The source material really, and I mean really, goes in on Sir Hapoleon Nil. It points out that his entire philosophy is supposedly built on all these amazing interviews with successful people, for which, well, there's zero actual proof they ever happened. It's all built on faith, not facts. Which, is kind of the whole point of a cult, isn't it? Just believe the gospel and please don't ask any questions. This quote from the author himself just perfectly skewers our modern obsession with looking busy. It's not about results, it's about being seen as the hardest worker. The goal isn't really success, it's that badge of honor you get for bragging about your sleepless nights online. So this brings us to a really fascinating conflict. What actually happens when true genius, like real world-changing value, goes head-to-head with some seriously savvy and ruthless marketing? Who does our society actually end up rewarding? Let's talk about Nikola Tesla. This man was an absolute visionary. His ideas are literally the foundation of the modern world we live in. But he wasn't a showman, he wasn't a cutthroat businessman, and because of that, his story is one of unbelievable contribution, but also of just tragic underappreciation. And this right here, this comparison, really gets to the heart of the whole critique. You've got Tesla, the true innovator, versus lightbulb Tommy, the master marketer. The argument here is that Tommy's fame didn't come from being a superior genius. It came from being relentlessly good at promoting himself, and in doing so, he completely overshadowed a true visionary. It is the classic story of style over substance. And right here, in Tesla's own words, is the ultimate takedown of the entire hard work cult. See, for him, his work wasn't a sacrifice. It wasn't a grind. He said he thrived on his thoughts. It wasn't about forcing it. It was about genuine, almost effortless creation. Okay, so if this whole thing is a trap, how do we get out? Well, the author says it all starts with understanding something called Maya. It's a concept from ancient Indian philosophy that kind of perfectly explains this collective brainwashing we're all in. So, Maya, what is it? It's basically the collective delusion that we're all living in. It's the shared hallucinations that we all just agree to call reality. Like the idea that burnout is something to be proud of, or that guys like lightbulb Tommy are who we should all aspire to be. The author puts it perfectly. The closest thing we have to it in the West is the Matrix. So if we're all living inside this Maya, this matrix of really bad ideas, how is it even maintained? Well, according to the author, the system keeps us all plugged in through this constant cycle of indoctrination. And it's a pretty simple cycle. First, you push a flawed idea, like hard work conquers all. Then, you prop up these false idols, like Sir Hapoleon Nil, to preach that gospel. Next, you enforce it with guilt, making people feel totally useless if they dare to take a break. And finally, the system, not you, the individual, gets to reap all the rewards from your overwork. So if the game is rigged, what are you supposed to do? Well, the answer here isn't to just try and win harder. It's to completely change how you play the game. It's all about unplugging and learning to just laugh at how absurd the whole thing really is. So here it is. This is the advice on how to actually live. Stop trying to be perfect. Be strategic, not just busy. Prioritize your own well-being over everything. Find joy in what you're doing right now. And maybe, just maybe, realize that life isn't some zero-sum game you have to win. The reward isn't some trophy at the end. The reward is getting to play in a way that you actually enjoy. And that is the ultimate takeaway. The smartest people out there aren't the ones trying to control every little outcome. They're the ones who get how little is actually in their control. They see the madness of the rat race, they have a good laugh, and then they decide to play just for the fun of it. The author leaves us with this incredible quote from Carl Sagan that just puts everything into perspective. I mean, when you really look at the big picture, all our struggles, all our anxiety about making it, the entire societal rat race, it's all happening on a tiny speck of dust. So maybe, just maybe, the best way to cope with a brutal world is to not take it all quite so seriously.